some kid back there, fourth grader, second grader.
Call meeting to order. All please rise. They ask you to join me in a moment of reflection on the business that's before us this evening. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Alderman Basso.
The answer? What's Vietnamese for what are you up to, Mao?
Yep. Bob. Alderman Basso.
Hayako.
Who was there before?
Nagato and Ichiwa.
We'll just keep going. Okay. Alderman Violet.
Here.
Alderman Clifford.
I'm here.
Alderman Key.
Here.
Alderman Kramarski.
Here.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Here.
Alderman McGovern.
Here.
Alderman McGrogan.
Here.
Mayor, City Clerk, Treasurer, and Attorney Present.
All right, no special presentations tonight. Two items under the consent calendar, the approval of the minutes for the City Council meeting from June 2nd, 2020, along with the approval of the payroll and voucher list for the period ending June 12th, 2020. Then entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Moved by Komarski, second by Alderman McGovern. Discussion. Roll call.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman Key. Yes. Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Kramarski.
Yes.
Very good, thank you. No sealed bids tonight. A couple of remarks that I have, if I may. Tomorrow is the first farmers market. Starts at 8 o'clock, runs from 8 till 1 o'clock. It's kind of our first forte into normality, I guess, maybe, and we'll see how it goes. There will be set up as far as traffic can only go one way in there, and I saw a list of the different merchants that'll be there. Seem like a very good stock of people that are returning. If anything, is the last line on the web or their Facebook page says, "Be patient." That's all I can ask people. Is we're learning and everyone's learning, whether it be the participants or the vendors themselves. So we'll see how it goes, and look forward to. It's always been successful. Again, it's at the municipal parking lot, so go for there. The local business program, where you can spend $100 and get credit for various vehicle sticker or a credit for the rec center or Lake Catherine, has been progressing very well. So far, we've had 752 residents take a part in that, and of them, 272 suggested or made a comment that they actually spent money in Palos Heights because of that, or helped them make a decision to spend money in Palos Heights. So it's about a third, which is really what we wanted to have happen. And so far, we've the value of the stickers or the various things. We've had $75 in tokens, $3,100 in vouchers for Lake Catherine and the rec center, and a little over almost $30,000 in vehicle stickers. So the total's about $33,000 of credits. So that's what it's cost us, and it's done very well. On another note, the census is still growing along. Happy to say that our census, we've recorded 81.8% of the people have been counted, which is a fantastic number. The actual average for the state is just a little bit under 66%. So I want to thank everyone for doing it, filling it out, and if you haven't, please continue to do so. It means money to the city because that number is used for any per capita monies that we would get from the state or federal government, and so it's important to us to be a head count and get everybody counted going forward. A couple things. The pool, I want to talk about the pool and the playgrounds. I've had a number of calls from people about the pool and playgrounds. How come we can't open it? Under the current executive order, playgrounds are not to be opened, and pools are open very limitedly. Dan and I talked this morning, and we are having the people start to, our staff at Rec starting to fill the pool. And we're hoping that some things will change when we enter phase 4, which will be about 10 days after towards the end of the month. Right now, all we can have at the pool is laps, a lap pool, and small lessons, and some use as a therapeutic pool. So if things don't change and we can't have if we don't have any wiggle room, we'll maybe just proceed with those things initially, but that's all we're allowed to do. And as far as the playgrounds, again, hopefully we will be able to open those playgrounds soon. One of the realistic things, the reason we do that is we've been informed by our Municipal Risk Association, who is basically our insurance company, that we risk our liability insurance if we violate the executive order. So that's something that, we can't put ourselves in a position to do that. I can appreciate it with someone who has grandkids running from 7 till 2 years old. I know they want to use the playgrounds, and I appreciate the people's concern for it. But again, there's reasons for it. We're not just doing this because we decided to do it. There's an executive order that they can't be opened, and we're going to push it as much as we can. And again, hopefully in phase 4 things will change and give us some more flexibility as far as what we can do within the town and going forward. Over the last week, we've had a couple of protest marches. Went very smoothly. I want to give compliments to the residents and to the marchers actually for very smooth protest as it goes. Also to our staff, the police department, and our public works, who worked diligently to make sure that the residents were safe and the marchers were safe. And myself and Dan spent Friday up in the police station viewing our people, and I can't tell you how professionally they acted as far as having a handle on what was going on, and made sure that things flowed well, and no one was ever put in any danger, and things just went well. So again, they are professionals. They've always been professionals. When you hear about bad policemen, none of those are here. These are people who are professionals and live to the highest standards. Yes.
I'd just like to say compliments to all those involved with the logistics of all of that, with a 2-day protest and how they handled it. Everything was just went smooth as could be. Asked for a better, if there was going to be such a protest, that the way it was handled and contained. And my kudos go out to everybody involved, police, special police, everybody. Just I seen them go by there. Public Works was leading behind them for safety of the marchers included. They took that into consideration and everything. So, job well done. I'd just like to say thank you to them all.
All right, thank you.
To everybody.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
In addition to our police department, there were a lot of other law enforcement agencies
Right.
that had to contribute, and I was really happy to see how, like you said, how well trained they were together. It's really an amazing thing. I come from a big city police department. I'm used to it, Coming into a small police department like this and seeing the exact same kind of a handling of it is really a compliment to the entire Southwest region out here, of how well they train their people out here. It was wonderful. It was really wonderful. I did sneak into to watch a couple of these protests myself, and the discipline of our police officers was just amazing. And equally, the way they assisted out other police departments and their time and necessity too. It worked out really well.
Yeah.
Compliments to everybody.
Yeah, and just from some of the outside people who were there, their perception of our police and how they handle themselves is just beyond reproach. So again, a job well done.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, one of the residents of Misty Meadows is having some brochure, placards or something along those lines printed up for thanking the police for the great job they're doing during these bad times. And there's going to be enough space on it, kind of like almost like a big get well card, but it's a big thank you card. And it's interesting that, I guess it's a reflection of kind of the times we live in, that in the discussions that this resident had with the police department, they had suggested it's okay to say thanks, but don't use your real name because you could be targeted. So if anybody's interested, once I see the placard stuff, you want to say like thanks from John Smith or Mickey Mouse or something, to the police, just let me know and I'll, make sure you get the card. But as Jack and Jerry said, the police they've done a great job. We should thank them.
I'll
Thank
put
you.
my signature on there about
Yeah.
the size John Hancock did the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah. Well, I feel like doing the same, but I don't want to get egged either.
All right, then number 7 is the consideration of an adoption for an ordinance. As you remember, last time, we had a discussion as far as if something comes out of a committee with a tie vote, how should it be handled. What we've done is, in the presentation here today, we've got 3 sections. Section 3 actually deals with the tie vote, that anything that comes out of a committee, if the tie vote comes to this council with no recommendation, and then a vote will be taken here. The other 2 sections, basically, is kind of a cleanup. We talked about doing that. In some cases, it talks about an office manager, and it's actually the city administrator who does that now, and building commissioner, the health inspector, which we don't have. It's just a cleanup of all of some of our regulations is what we've been doing over the last number of years. So with that, I make a motion that we accept the amendments 1, 2, and 3 to section 31.09.
I'll second it.
Moved by
Discussion,
Alderman, McGrogan, second by Alderman McGovern. Discussion.
No, I'm asking for a discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can you second that first so we can get on?
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Second.
Please.
Mayor, this is Bob Basso. I had trouble signing in this evening. I just wanted to register my attendance.
Okay, gotcha, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Get your.
Anyway, under Robert's rules of online, comes the section 64 of section 8, article 64. Okay, when a quorum is present in a majority vote, that majority of the vote cast breaks blank, ignoring blanks is sufficient for adoption of any more motion in that order except those mentioned, which require 2/3 of the vote. So rather than ask for a motion and everything else, let me see. On a tie vote, the motion is lost. And the chair, if a member of the assembly, may vote to break the tie unless he is a voter. The chair cannot, however, vote twice. First to make the tie and then to give a casting vote in case of an appeal. Now, to follow that up, I have from the United States Supreme Court, the vote mean for DAPA and expanded DACA. Okay? The Supreme Court at that time only had 8 members. The Supreme Court did not reach a majority decision in the United States versus Texas. Instead, when the court's justices voted on the case, the result was a 4-4 tie in favor of the U.S. position in the case, 4 in favor of Texas's position. The vote means that the decision by the lower courts is that temporary blocked DAPA and DACA from being implemented remain in effect. Now, if that one means that it can't go forward, then a tie vote cannot go forward. Now, also, in what I have is an article of what does it mean by a tie vote. In case a tie vote or a motion, a tie vote means that the required majority was not achieved. Therefore, the motion is defeated. Technically, nothing needs to be done. 5 votes in favor and 5 votes against produce the same outcome as 1 vote in favor and 9 votes against. The motion is defeated either way. So,
Tom, I think you addressed it as far as we could do that by, Robert's rule does not necessarily have to apply to.
I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, got my opinion. When the question was raised about the tie vote, yes, Robert's rule says a tie vote means whatever the motion was defeated.
yeah,
Except your city council has never given final authority under Robert's rules to the committee. So in my opinion, in fact, I've got Robert's rules right here. It says if standing committees are not giving final authority on positions or on votes, then those matters have to go to the city council.
Secondly, Mr. Mayor, Jerry, could you reread the part in Robert's rule where you said something about the chair, when if it was a tie vote and there's a chairman, there's something in there that you said that,
Chairman
About the-
is not allowed to make a second vote.
Well,
Right.
but there is none.
yeah, there is none. So was there a second part of that where you said something? Just read that little section, a couple of those sentences. Because there was something about where if it was a tie vote, the chairman can and can't do certain things. I just wanted to,
You can't vote twice.
It just said you can't vote twice.
But
so he doesn't have a super vote.
But if you look at your city council, you have 8 aldermen and a mayor. You have 9.
Mhm.
If you look at Robert's rules, and you look all through Robert's rules, always look at an odd number, so that you always have a deciding vote on these issues. When you have your committees that only have four people, a lot of times you're gonna be 2 and 2. What if, and I've talked to the mayor about this, what if your budget committee, finance committee votes 2 to 2 on your budget? You never have a budget.
This is the Supreme Court.
You never have a budget. But those
is the
are,
Supreme Court.
that's case law.
Yeah,
That's case
that's
law.
what I'm talking
But
about. It's
I've
case
got
law.
Robert's rules right here that says if the standing committees are not given final authority on deciding issues, then it goes back to the council.
I've always kind of
And
looked
that-
at it as if the standing committees are making recommendations to the city council
That's-
as a whole.
Right now,
And
that's all you guys do is make
What
recommendations.
happens in committee is that the 4 people on the committee make decisions as to what should and shouldn't go to council. And the way it stands right now, where, you know, let's say there's a 3-to-1 vote in the committee. The one person who doesn't agree with the other 3 can still, at the city council level, argue that position. And, you know, argue that position to those members that are not on that committee. And who knows what's going to happen. But, you know, I think everything should, everything that happens in committee should be considered a recommendation. And it doesn't become an ordinance or a fact or what have you until it gets to this level. And I think it should be treated as such.
Mr. Mayor, I think what we're lacking is continuity, but I do agree with Alderman McGovern. Ever since I've been on the council, we have always had this dispute. And recently, maybe within a year or so, there was an issue at REC that was a 2-2 and it never came to the council. So I think somewhere with this group, we have to decide what we want to do. And my vote, my concurrence would be with Alderman.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're trying to do here.
Right.
Is that it does come 2 to 2.
Exactly.
That it does come here.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
So my comment is that, you know, we can't live in the past, and if there's, let's say conflicts over, like, as Alderman Komarski just suggested in the past, you know, going forward, by doing this, we can clarify that. We can make a decision, and the decision can be final, that where, if it's a 2-to-2 vote, or it could be, you know, 1-to-1 if the chairman's voting and there's only one other person, you could technically have a 1-to-1 vote. And what I think we should do is it should come in, because I've also been on the committee for a long, you know, here as long as many of us have all been around the same time. And I've actually seen situations where there's a little bit of jockeying on, like, who's gonna be out of town and things like that to manipulate votes. And where it could get to be a tie vote and then it doesn't go anywhere. Where it really is a disservice to the other 4 aldermen. And if it's a tie vote, that means it's kind of probably a delicate situation. And why not expose that to all of us? I mean, for instance, I didn't even know about what Dee just said about a tie vote in the rec area. You know, maybe it was something that would have been something that other aldermen would have, that aren't on that committee, would like to vote on.
Yeah.
So I think instead of living in the past, we go forward, make a move, as Tom suggested, since there, you know, either that or we change the committee structure and add a 5th person somehow. Maybe
Yeah.
we add you to every committee and you vote.
No, I mean, I look at the committee structure as being a way as a recommendation, whether, you know, whether it be pro or con. I mean, if it is 3-1 or 4-0, it's still not approved unless the council approves it. So if it, you know, if it's 2-2, I think the council should, you know, it comes in with no recommendation, and the council should have the ability to make that final decision, and that's my feeling.
It says here, the committee shall report the matter to the city council without a recommendation for final action. So if, say this is license and permit, if Alderman Lewandowski was to bring that forward, could he ask for a vote on submittal of that action to carry it forward and then vote on the issue?
Well, that's
That's
the whole,
what this
that's
is.
the whole issue. If it's 2-2, you want the other 4 people to be able to vote.
But he
I mean,
could-
theoretically, the way you guys have it structured now, every committee, when 2 people vote against something, it's never gonna reach the city council. And my question is, what if your finance committee, when you're dealing with your budget, votes 2-2 or 1-3 against your budget every year?'re never gonna have a budget.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, I mean,
But isn't that the reason for the committees themselves?
well,
Well,
the
this
committees are
committee's
there
the
to make
recommendation to the council.
recommendations.
The committee can't do anything on their own. It's
My,
gotta come
my
here
own,
anyway for
yeah,
final
my own
approval.
personal opinion, if the vote is 4-0 against something, I think it still should come to the city council so the other 4 can vote. That's my own personal.
But that's not the way
opinion.
this is written. This is only tie votes.
Yeah, this is just for tie votes.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. I didn't want to do that because that becomes a committee of the whole almost, when you look at it that way. you know.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Well, then perhaps that would be a good idea. We could all meet as a committee of the whole. All the committees could meet before the council, and we would avoid all of this.
Well,
We could do that.
I mean, that's a whole different structure of
Right.
the council,
Right.
yes.
But it's the same thing, the city council debates the issue itself. If it's 2-2, and you're talking about citizens in your city that have asked for some relief, for some particular issue, don't you think it's a democratic process to let your whole city council make that determination as to whether or not it should go forward or not? Because you can have 2 aldermen that thwart everything. Nothing ever gets to the city council, but it's always 2-2.
And it also just kind of makes common sense. I mean, if a committee is deadlocked at 2-2, each side has an opportunity to present their case to the other,
Exactly.
council members.
That's why.
And, you know, why would we want to stifle that debate? You know, I mean, if anything, both sides would have the right to present their side in the proposal. And then the other 4 plus the mayor can ultimately make a final
And
decision.
realistically, how many issues that you really have that there's a tie vote on most items? I mean, and you're a small municipality that should be able to give all their citizens the right to have the full city council hear the issues and stuff. My village, we have 1,500 people, and we don't even have committees. We bring everything to the board to make all 6 of my trustees vote on the issue. If there's a tie, a vote. I mean, it's you have to look at the citizens that are requesting the relief, and that's why it's in your committees in the first place. And they have the right to have the whole city council make that determination, especially if it's 2-2.
So
We
the
also
chair-
have had situations where the entire committee voted for a subject, and in the ensuing week, there was a lot of discussion amongst ourselves, you know, one-on-one, and even people that voted for it voted no at council, because there's robust discussion. I don't think we should be afraid of that.
But in that case, that committee did not make
Correct.
the final decision. The council made the final
Correct.
decision.
That's why-
And I think that's where it should be.
We're strictly talking about a 2-2 tie here.
Right. That's exactly.
We're
what it
not talking about 3-0,
Right.
3-1,
That's
or
what this is.
4-0. And I'm not afraid of further discussion or more open.
So the chairman
Dialogue.
would just submit the findings on that for no further.
Yeah, the chairman will just report that the issue was a 2-2 tie vote.
Before
No
we
recommendation for or against, it's just 2-2.
All right, just before we finish, you got your.
Without it, he would report there's no recommendation for further action. The chairman of each one.
You got your book with you, look under Title 8, Section 47.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
Then you would have to vote on that
It depends
then?
on which book you look at, because there's like 18 different Robert's Rules of Orders.
All right.
But in mine, if you look at the one I have, and you look at your ordinance setting up
It's
your
a
committee.
section that
First of all, as I pointed out, there are no state statutes creating committees in the state of Illinois. So every municipality can do what they want to do. Your municipality has chosen to have committees. My municipality has chosen to have no committees. But if you look at the Roberts rules that I have, it says that the city council has to give final authority on issues, the final authority making decision on issues. If you don't have that passed on to your committees are just doing recommendations. And my position is if the committee votes 3-1 against something, it still goes to the city council because the whole city council has to look at it. If they vote 3-1 for something or 4-0 against something, it still goes to the city council because you have not given final authority to your committees to make decisions on any issue. You're a recommending body. And if your recommendation is 0-4 against something or 4-0 for something, that's what you report to the city council. Now that's in my edition of the Roberts Rules.
Makes sense.
You may have a different edition.
Well, it may make sense, but by the same token, we've withdrawn things from committee when they did go to a 0-4 vote. We have had things, and as I'm reading this one here, what I was explaining to you, this Article 47, no motion is in order that conflicts with the laws of the nation, the state, or any assembly, constitution, or bylaws, and such motion is adopted even if it's a unanimous vote. It is null and void. Now,
If the committee is given final authority to make those decisions. You guys have never been given that. You could change your code to say committees have final authority on any issue that comes up before the committee.
but we stand.
We don't need a
But we
council.
stand
But that-
on Robert's
this-
rules in the first place.
But I'm reading from
I
Robert's
know.
rules.
We both are.
But you can have the ordinances not follow Robert's rules in this case.
Well, that's,
Mr. Mayor, I would just like to know, as Alderman Violet pointed out, a lot of this is common sense. I'm sitting here just trying to figure out why wouldn't we want the issues to be aired if it's a tie vote? I just don't understand. And forget the issue that brought this up, this driveway thing. We can deal with that
I
separately.
don't have any idea what
Yeah,
it's about.
I don't think that.
I have no idea what you're talking about
Right.
either.
No,
So,
all
but anyhow,
I
I'm
know
just
is that he
saying-
brought
I'm
up
just
the thing
saying
at the
that
last
why
thing
wouldn't
about a
this-
tie vote, period.
Right.
You kept it open.
I kept it open because
You kept it open
I'm
because
trying to
you
figure
just-
out what the
you just wanted to
procedure-
find out
Right.
what about this thing
Yeah,
about the
but-
tie vote
Correct.
itself.
And
The
it
only
has
thing-
implications across
right.
all
The
committees.
only thing-
I think you
So
did,
so we
and
have
you did-
continuity.
And I compliment the way you brought it up.
Thank you.
This went over the first time on the rec committee about the issue with the balloons.
But it doesn't matter what the issue is, though. I mean, this is.
That's
we're looking
my
at setting
Yeah, it
a
doesn't
precedent.
matter, yeah.
Yeah, that's my point, is why,
And
forget
plus,
the
if we
issue.
make an amendment,
need to look at
it's
that.
gonna be different from here on out.
Yes, right.
And there should be continuity. It shouldn't be one time
We're changing the ordinance to actually set a precedent to how to handle this
Exactly.
and going forward.
and
That's-
it does get, I get a little nervous when you're talking about if two votes can,
Stop
we
something.
could literally stymie the entire workings of the city with two votes.
Mr. Mayor, we could do that with deferring too.
Well, it's only so long.
Right.
Okay. Any questions? Just do a roll call, then.
Alderman McGovern.
No.
Alderman Basso.
No.
Alderman Key.
Yes,
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
No,
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Kromarski.
No.
4-4.
I vote yes.
a tie vote.
There we go.
It's a democratic way.
All right, motion passes.
I want to work with the chairman.
Okay. All right, I'll get back to my. That's the end of my report.
tie.
Okay,
Long report, Mayor.
5-4.
city clerk.
Go for it.
All right, city treasurer. He's got a longer one.
Thank you, Mr.
He
Mayor.
voted yes then, right?
This is the treasurer's report for the month ending May 31st, 2020. General fund started the month with beginning cash balance of $4,459,976. Revenues of $620,426. Expenses totaling $768,625. Other source use $4,172. Giving an ending cash balance in the general fund of $4,307,605. Total of all funds began the month with $19,353,225. Total revenues of $1,415,518. Total expenses $1,351,170. Other source use $1,214, giving an ending cash balance in all funds of $19,418,787. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Need a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Second.
Moved by Alderman McGurgan, seconded by Alderman Violet. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. City Attorney?
I have no report, and I've spoken more in the last 10 minutes than I have all year.
Hold on.
Those aren't billable hours, by the way, just your every time. All right, communications, anyone have? All right, standing committees, Alderman McGurgan.
Mr. Mayor, no specific report, but I just think everyone, when you look at the report that the treasurer just gave, if it's my recollection is correct, this is pretty much a high watermark for the city, is the ending balance of all funds. So in these troubled times, I think it's a compliment to the way, Dan, the city, and all the people that are in this room, I think, conduct themselves. A lot of places are hurting, and it looks like the city's in pretty good shape. That's the end of my report.
Well, and I just like to make a comment on it. I think you see the towns that are hurting are ones that are dependent on one or two specific reasons for the revenues. I mean, I think name names, but there are a number of them that are basically retail operations, and that's what they need. I've got one location out here that has a large operation in retail and also has a lot of gambling. That also is not happening now. So those are towns that are hurting per se. Ours is pretty much, we've got no real one source of income that's dominant that's going to be hurting. I mean, even our sales tax, which is about $1.2 million on our budget. Majority of that sales tax, take in mind that the top 20 people account for about 60% of that sales tax, and the biggest one being Jewel and the two pharmacies. And those are, doing fairly well still, even in these times, because people have to eat and use the drugs that they need. So, I mean, we're fortunate that we have that spread and disparity of distribution, better word, of income coming in. So your point's well taken, Alderman McGurgan. So thank you. Public safety, Alderman McGovern.
The only thing I'd like to say tonight, Mayor, besides what we talked about earlier, okay, is to thank everybody who's been donating food over to the police station, to the hospitals, and everything else. We're going to have to give our police officers a heck of a workout from all the donations everybody's getting, because you walk into the police station, and all you see is it looks like a big bakery out there, for Pete's sakes. So thank you to everybody, and it's well loved and well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you. Municipal grounds and property, Alderman Basso.
Yes, Mayor, I have no items on the agenda. I'd just like to compliment all the workers in public works. They're keeping everything in shape and up and running. With the storm we had last week, we maintained all the services that we're accustomed to. Chipper service is a day or two behind because, for a variety of reasons, as we talked about last month, more people doing yard work and more branches and trees being trimmed and set out by the curb. But everything is fine, everything is good. I'd like to compliment them and the police department for their efforts on our marches last week. And I wish everyone that's sitting in the council room well, and I hope to see you next month.
All right, thank you, sir. Planning and zoning, Alderman Clifford.
I have no report, but an announcement that on June 29th, there will be a combined ZBA meeting at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., followed by PUD and Plan Commission and the proposed site of the Route 83 development. It will be held at the gym at the Rec Center on Monday, June 29th. There'll be numerous items that are on here. I've checked our website, they're listed. Requests for variances, changes in zoning, and proposal and redevelopment of the corner of Route 83 in Harvard.
Excuse me, what time was that?
6 and 7.
6 o'clock and 7?
6 o'clock was ZBA, followed by the plan, PUD and Plan Commission.
All right. That's it. Thanks, Alderman.
Various things. There's a real plate full of stuff on there, so if you're interested.
All right. Thank you, sir. Recreation, Alderman Key?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve agreement with Kids Around the World Incorporated to donate old playground equipment from Palmer Park.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Key, second by Alderman Clifford. Discussion? Roll call.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
And then I'd like to make a motion to approve the Recreation Center's updated hours of operation for reopening in Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois Plan.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Key and second by Alderman Clifford. Any discussion? Roll call.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
And then I'd like to make a motion to reactivate fitness membership charges effective August 6, 2020, if Phase 4 of the Restore Illinois Plan has occurred.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Key and second by Alderman Clifford. Roll call.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
And I've been getting some emails. I know other people on the council have been getting emails. Everyone is hearing stories about other municipalities that are preparing to open up parks or their pools and things like that. But I've been responding to everyone the same way, and that is nothing has changed with the governor's mandate, and we have to follow those rules. In terms of the rec department, our parks, it's painful to drive by a park these days and see that all the equipment has been, cordoned off so you can't get to it. And it's really not helping if residents go to the parks and cut that stuff off and then let their kids play on it. It actually costs the city money to do that, but it's not safe also. And so I would recommend we be patient as we can and wait for the mandates to change. It's going to be a step program, and the moment we can open these things, we're more than happy to.
On that, the reason it's being done, first and foremost, mandates or not, is for the safety of those children or people that go to them, whether they realize it or not. And you'll get the pros and the cons. Well, parents are the best barometer of their safety of their children. Sure, but if you go on contaminated equipment, you got a problem. You see states now that they're getting great big spikes. Arizona, Florida, they're a little bit rushed in there. What we're doing here, mandate or not, is we're trying to do it in a safe way for everybody so that we don't have those problems later. That when they do use that equipment, they're going to be safe. They're going to be okay. We know that it's going to be okay. And we have a plan with Public Works and Dan and Ed of sanitizing that equipment and everything in all the parks before we even do allow them to go on there. So we're looking ahead on that. We're ahead of that on the reopening of that. And it's all done for the common safety of everybody in town, not just a few. So.
And you're right, because everybody, all our small businesses, our grocery stores and everything else, they got everything for their shopping carts and everything else to be sure you sanitize. Next to the equipment sanitizer, you got your hand sanitizer, and you got the wipes that everybody uses to go back and forth. Plus, you still have to wear the face masks to go into the stores.
It goes away and sooner than later, but for right now, I guess we all have to abide and play by the game of safety, and that's the one word here that we got to abide by: safety.
Safety.
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
All right. If I could just add something I'm remiss in my report earlier. If you noticed, through this time, people are home. There's a lot more people riding bikes, walking through town. So if you're a driver, just kind of be cognizant of that so you don't hit somebody. If you're a walker, please be kind of cognizant of where you walk. I go back to my pet peeve of people walking down 127th Street when there's a sidewalk on 127th Street. I was, this morning, the same person actually was 5 feet away from a sidewalk, but they made a point of walking down the street. So we do have sidewalks. We put a lot of time and effort in putting sidewalks
Right.
throughout town. If there is one, please use it, okay? It's for your own safety too, and going forward. All right, roads and construction, Alderman Komarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no formal report, but I am attending an electronic meeting next week with various entities for Phase 2 of the resurfacing project at 123rd Street from Harlem Avenue to 76th Avenue. And to continue on with your message with the walkers, I would like to strongly urge parents to observe their kids on their bikes, especially on the bike path. They cross 123rd Place, they cross McCarthy Road, and those kids don't stop. And if you have 5- and 6-year-old children, I would think that it's the parents' responsibility to be with them.
Good.
And with that, I'll end my
Great,
report.
thank you. License permits and franchises, Alderman Lewandowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No report.
Alderman Violet, water and sewer.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
All right, how about economic business development, Alderman Key?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did have a Economic Development Committee meeting electronically this week, and in a similar fashion to the rec department, who we've had to cancel a lot of our summer activities, but we're looking to maybe have a fall event that we could celebrate together as a community. And the Economic Development Committee is running through ideas like that too. Maybe in the fall when everything opens up and the restaurants are actually reopened, to have like a restaurant week or a couple weeks, and encourage people to use our restaurants and things. So we're tossing around ideas like that, but once again, we have to wait for the mandates to change and to stay healthy. So we are looking at things like that, and just be patient, shop local, eat local.
On the idea with the eat local, yes. I've been to about 4 restaurants out here. Tent City is beautiful.
Yeah.
Most of them have the tents down on at least 1 or 2 sides, so you can turn around and be comfortable in case the wind blows or foul weather or anything along that line.
And even though the restaurants are open with those tents, there's a big cost involved in renting those tents. It's not cheap.
Right.
And so there's another investment that these businesses have to expend to make sure that any patrons can come in.
Well, from the restaurant side, I mean, they have fixed overhead, and if you're serving 25% of your customers, you still have the same overhead. So no matter, plus you may have the overhead of the tent also. So that's good.
Mr. Mayor, on that point that Alderman Key just brought up, do all the merchants have, like especially the restaurants and bars, have like a blanket approval to just open those tents, or do they need any special approval?
We let them just open it.
It's a blanket?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are rules that go along.
There's a lot, yeah.
The tables have to be a certain distance apart. The wait staff has to have masks on, and
Yeah, and they're all on their own property. It's not like,
Yes.
we offered to have anyone who needed a right of way use it. No one took
Yes.
advantage of that. So
It's interesting because I was just out with my wife earlier. We were on LaGrange Road, and we noticed that Papa John's and some of those other places, they have big tents and everything. I said, well, it's a great way for all these people to at least make some money and stuff. What's going to happen, and do we have to think proactively if this continues? Because, they're talking about a fall bump maybe, which nobody really knows if that's true or not. But if it does, because of the climate that we have here in Illinois, do you think that, we should start thinking about, what could those restaurants maybe enclose the sides, or, what I'm saying? And maybe, Jeff, the committee ought to think about working with the merchants to say, what's going to happen if this actually continues into November, when it gets cold out, because people aren't going to want to sit outside.
I've talked to a lot of the restaurant owners, and even with the tents, if it's raining, it's going to affect. If it gets cool, like we've had a couple of cool nights, it affects the clients coming in. So it's a crapshoot no matter how you look at it. It's a hard thing, and it's already a hard business
Like crepe
to run.
and they put those big heaters up.
Yeah, you know, sometimes like I've been to weddings where people have it in their backyard and they have those, like isinglass, like, that you could pull down. Maybe they could do something like that.
All right.
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Cable TV, Alderman?
Yes, Mayor, I have one little comment to make. Okay. Channel 4 has been canceled has canceled several scheduled videos during the months of March, April, May, because of the coronavirus. Channel 4 is open to start studio taping. All Channel 4 volunteers have been advised of our startup. The operating crew staff is now, for now, will be Ron and Carl performing tasks to record, edit, and load the hard drive into the software. We've had discussions with the library, Satoma, Cancer Society, and others to schedule for the month of June. The studios, people are still uncomfortable with the type of contact coming into the studio, despite disinfecting and distancing policies of the studio that are in place. We currently making equipment tests and looking into the Zoom format to record interviews with persons remaining at their home base. However, video and audio degradation are a concern and still may require additional purchases of software and edit in process for on the air. Okay, Ron and Carl are still performing tests with some of the in-home computers for Zoom format as an alternative to recording studio interviews. And at this time, it appears it'll take several weeks for it to resume a normal level of programming. Ron is in the process of contacting and scheduling interviews for both Zoom and studio operations. Channel 4 is continuing to perform as a strong media with updated news on current events in our community. And that's it. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Any old business?
Mr. Mayor, yes, I would also like to thank the police department, our public works department. I think they're second to none. Any time of the year, any day, they're always there. They step up to the plate. And also, I encourage people to shop at Jewel. Jewel is one of our businesses, and I couldn't dream of going anywhere else in this time of
Great. It's close.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor, is there any chance you could bring up the status of the negotiations with Jewel? Put you on the spot.
We've got 2 to 3 meetings with users for the Dominic's schedule right now. So.
Okay.
Is the city still looking or entertaining the possibility of acquiring properties for city use or multiple use along Harlem or in the vicinity of Harlem?
Not at this time with the uncertainty of, dollars.
Because I had a couple of people, there's 3 properties that asked me, was the city still in the market or looking at them? And I said I would find out.
If you want to give them to myself or Dan, we can at least look at them.
What are they looking to?
So,
There's a couple of properties that are on the court side, but basically front to Harlem.
Okay.
The whole thing. There's a possibility they may be coming up. And there's another spot, a vacant lot in the vicinity of the business district that could either be beneficial to one of the businesses there, if they would be interested, but it would take some negotiation on the zoning for the privacy of the resident on this one particular corner. And then 2 down here, for future development on the business district that you were doing it. So
okay, good. Thank
it
you.
was just a question I said I'll ask.
Sure. All right. Sounds good. Any other old business? New business?
New business.
New business.
I was wondering if it would be possible for our committees to start meeting here. I think the last couple of city council meetings have gone well. I kind of like seeing faces at meetings. And I know that that not every single alderman is completely comfortable, but perhaps it can be the chairman's call.
Yeah, it would be.
If the chairman wants to call the meeting here, and even then, individual members could phone in if they choose to. But it seems like a better way to conduct business.
I see that would be to call the chairman. I mean, you can come here if 3 people or 2 people don't want to come in, they can just call here, and you could have 2 people here and 2 people away.
Right.
It'd be no different than all 4 of you being on the phone. So.
Does anybody else have thoughts about that?
I agree with you. I think it's time to have it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
The only problem, Mr. Mayor, may be the back room, because you know, we
We'll
don't
see how it
have-
goes. If you get your committees, let us know.
Right.
We'll schedule
Yeah.
rooms. So.
And right now, committees are meeting as needed anyway, and so the structure that we've had, the committees probably could just meet in this room. I mean, it's not likely, or we can structure it in such a way that only this room is used, because we don't necessarily have to go back to our original times. We can meet on different days when people are available.
Right.
And if we always meet in this room, there's always going to be enough space.
Right.
But just to kind of keep everybody, you know, keep everybody comfortable,
That's fine.
maybe we should allow the chairman to make the initial
I've
call.
always thought that his chairman. Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay.
One other thing, the sign, Dan, the sign for the meeting and the PUD I mentioned earlier for the development of Route 83 in Harlem, I asked if that's how that sign got where it is. It's in front of Sherwin-Williams, and it really doesn't belong in front of Sherwin-Williams. It belongs at the property that's in question, which is across the street. Also, that sign, if I believe by ordinance, is supposed to be a little bit bigger, that we passed that at the time when Basic and North Point and all that was coming up, that the sign and the signs were bigger on the corner, the 4x4 up to 8x4, no greater than 32 square feet, but no less than 16 square feet, planned on the corner announcing that.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
All right?
All right. Any other new business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.